Hello everyone, I'm back in Park Dupki, the big park, uh, basically my neighborhood. It's a really sunny, beautiful spring day, and I'm happy to be alive. Okay, that might sound banal, like, is that a normal thing? To be happy to be alive, but, yeah, there have been periods in my life where I wasn't happy to be alive. And that's what led to a lot of my problems. And that's what led to me almost dying 1 year ago. So, a year ago, like on March 15th, I just got out of the hospital. I was in the hospital for 5 weeks. And according to the doctor, I almost died. She said that if I had procrastinated any longer, if like 2 or 3 days longer, I would have been dead. So, yeah. So what happened? It came about rather suddenly, like that summer. So it was the summer of 2024, and I was feeling great. I was fine. I spent like 10 days in St. Petersburg because my favorite operas by Richard Wagner, Der Ring des Nibelungen, was playing. And that's like a very rare occurrence. And so I was staying with my aunt, who lives in St. Petersburg, right in the center, actually, in a beautiful area. And I was walking every day for like 10 hours, mainly walking around the city and going to museums also, and but mainly walking. And yeah, the sun is out, it's so beautiful. And I felt fun. And then in the evenings I would spend like 6 hours at the opera. Like Wagner's operas are like 5 hours long, sometimes 6. So yeah, I felt great. And in September, I went back to Petersburg to see Tristan und Isolde and Parsifal. So yeah, I felt, healthy and fun. But then, I guess it was late fall, I started feeling like really weak. I lost my appetite. I was barely eating, and it was getting harder and harder to walk, even to the store across the street. Stupid highway across from the park is making so much noise right now. I gotta get it to a side path. And yeah, I had no energy, and I was still having classes and everything, but that's like the most I could do was to have my lessons, and I barely could eat, and I didn't know what was wrong with me. And in January, the last time I saw my son, January 4th, this was 2025, we went to an art museum together. It was his idea in the Kremlin. He's very interested in art and wants to be an artist. But I was walking with a cane, and yeah, it was very difficult for me to walk. and I was getting tired very easily. So I didn't know what was going on. But it got to the point where I couldn't even go across the street to the store. I had to order food because I was just so weak. And finally it got to the point in like mid-February again? No, the beginning of February, where I woke up and I had to go to the bathroom, but it was so difficult and I barely made it to the bathroom. And then I couldn't get back to my bed. I was just crawling along the floor, dragging myself, and I could only drag myself like a foot, and then I would just have to lay on the floor and like regain a little bit of energy to pull me further. It literally took me like 2 hours to crawl from the bathroom to my bed where my phone was. So I couldn't even call anyone, like the ambulance or anything. So finally I get to my bed and I realize, okay, I hate going to doctors and hospital, but I realize there's nothing else I can do. So then I did the stupidest thing, the thing that I regret most. I didn't know the number to like for the ambulance or for like emergency, like 911 in America. I didn't know the number in Russia for that. I could have called my friends, even though it was like in the middle of the day. I think it was on a weekend though, so I could have and just asked them for the number. But instead I called my son, and instead of just asking for the number, I asked him to call an ambulance for me. So he got his mom to do it, and I so regret that, because ever since then he's been ostracizing me for over a year. I haven't talked to him. He rarely ever answers my messages, and I haven't seen him for like a year and 3 months. Because he comes over, his mom brought him over for some reason, rather than just calling the ambulance. They came to my flat, and he saw that, like, in what a state I was, that I was completely incapacitated, right? I couldn't even get out of my bed to unlock the door, and they had to break the lock. And he was really shocked and basically never forgave me for letting myself get into that bad state of health. And the worst thing, okay, so already for a couple months, like I said, damn it, so much noise. Like I said, I had no strength even to cook. Yeah, I just had strength enough to have lessons. And so yeah, I didn't clean my house, and my house was a mess. Yeah, because I was too weak to clean or anything like that, and that was kind of my last worry. I wasn't thinking about that. So my house was a real mess. But the thing that's kind of funny is, okay, I recycle everything I can, alright? And so I had garbage bags filled with plastic, clean plastic bottles that I was going to take to recycling. Okay, but since I was sick and couldn't even walk to the store, I couldn't take them, right? So when my son walks in, there's like 10 big garbage bags all littering the floor of my flat. And my son thought it was stinking, disgusting, rotting garbage, which it wasn't. It was clean plastic bottles, right? And that's one of the things that was shocked him, that he thought I was like living in my own like filth of rotting garbage. They were filled with plastic bottles for recycling. I explained that to him later, but anyway, so my neighbor who was there also said he was more shocked about the state of my flat, which, yeah, I'm very embarrassed about and all, than about me being so sick. And ever since then, he's completely ostracized me. Anyway, so I wound up in the hospital. They put me down. The first week was torture. They put me down in like a basement room, and they strapped me to the bed. Like, I was strapped down. I couldn't move. I could just move my head, that's all. And they occasionally, rarely, they bottle fed me with some like liquid food. Alright? I couldn't go to the bathroom. I had to wear diapers, right? Because they wouldn't let me out of the bed. And I was screaming and demanding to go home and everything, but they had me completely restrained. And it was real hell for like a week. And I couldn't understand what was going on. Like, yeah, it was like being in some kind of horror movie. That's what it felt like. And they were like doing like, I don't know. They were treating me like crap too. They didn't explain anything. I'm like, what are you doing to me? And they didn't explain. And I don't know. It was a horrible experience. It was a really shocking experience. So my one of my students, who's a doctor, said, his father is a doctor, said, yeah, that's what they do with people when they think like they're like no longer in control of their like bodily body movements or something, and if I wasn't restrained, I could have like fallen off the bed and hurt myself, or I don't know, started punching the wall or something. Anyway, it was something about like they couldn't trust that I could control my body or something like that. So finally they put me in a regular room. The doctor was really nice. So yeah, she told me I almost died. One of the things, like the main thing she was concerned is, as far as I understood, my red blood count, like the red blood cells, were so extremely low that she showed me a chart like what the level is supposed to be. And if it's at this level, it's really, really bad. And you're like, I don't know, she said like 100 times lower than that or something. And so it was really bad. I think that's what it was, about not having enough red blood cells. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what it was. Anyway, so I think I actually got like a transfusion or like blood pumped into me. And I had like intravenous like several times a day. And I still couldn't walk. And so I was basically bedridden. Two of the nurses were just absolute bitches. They treated me like shit. They would scream at me. They would shout at me. They would mock me. They treated me so horribly. So one example, I managed to get into a wheelchair to go to the bathroom. And the bitch nurse was following me. And so I'm on the bathroom, I do my thing, and I couldn't get up off the toilet. I was just too weak. I had no strength. And there wasn't even a handlebar, like a safety bar to pull yourself up. You would think they would have a safety bar to pull yourself up. If there was one, I was thinking I would be able to get up, but I couldn't. And so I tell the nurse that, and she's like, I'm not coming in there to help you. You have to get up on your own, or you can just live there on the toilet, right? And she was shouting at me, I'm not going to help you. You get up on your own. And it was really shocking. I mean, nurses are supposed to be kind and helpful and all. So she just let me sit there for a long, long time as I struggled and struggled to get off the toilet. So I finally pulled myself off on from the toilet. I fell on the ground, and I just had to crawl and drag myself across the bathroom floor until I got to the wheelchair, which was in the hallway. And the nurse was talking to her bitch friend, and she looked at me and mockingly laughed and said, look at him. And she's like, get up. I'm like, I can't. I'm sick. I have no strength. I'm sick. Help me. And then she looks at the nurse and says, did you hear what he said? He said he was sick. And they just both laughed at me so mockingly. It was a real horrible experience. So I kept going through tests and everything. Yeah. I don't even want to talk about what the problem was, but I guess it might sound worse. And it wound up I had liver damage, or have liver damage, because of excessive indulging
for 5 kilometers in 68 minutes and 59
and
minutes.
there goes the announcer saying how far I will. Because of incessant or often indulging in bad habits, I'm ashamed to even say. Why? Because those times when I wasn't happy to be alive, when I was depressed, and yeah, I didn't see any kind of reason to live, especially when I haven't seen my son in a long time and stuff, which happened rather often. And so yeah, I would fall into bad habits, and so I almost killed myself. It's so embarrassing to talk about. I can't believe I was such an idiot. Yeah, I'm so ashamed. I'm so absolutely ashamed. So after about 5 weeks, and 5 weeks of the nurses tormenting me too, and I finally told the doctor, just let me out of here. I was starting to walk again, and I could walk with crutches, and I'm like, I'm not staying here anymore, I'm leaving, right? Because the way the nurses are treating me, it's like, okay, I'll tell them to shut up and to avoid you, or like not to be a bitch to you. Anyway, I only stayed like maybe 3 days after that, then she released me. So I could walk with crutches at this time, and I started walking every day. First 3 kilometers, then 6 kilometers, and then I realized I don't need the crutches anymore. I still have the crutches in my hallway in case I ever need them. And then from 6 kilometers, I went to 8, then to 10, which I thought, wow, 10 kilometers. And now I'm up to 25. And 25 every day. For the most part. So that's when I decided that I have to live life to its fullest and, do what I really want and enjoy. And maybe I don't have much time to live yet anymore. So I gotta live my life to the fullest as much as I can and enjoy it as much as I can. So that's when I decided that when I get back to America, I'm gonna hike the whole Appalachian Trail from Maine to Georgia, and which is like 3,600 kilometers or something. Because I love hiking, I love being in nature, I love camping, so it'll be like perfect. And it's something I always wanted to do, but never got around to doing. So yeah, I probably don't have that much time left to live. Well, less than I would have had if all this didn't happen. So yeah, that's my goal. As soon as I get back to America, I'm gonna start my hike. So yeah, since my hospital experience and almost dying, I've learned to really appreciate life much more and appreciate every day that I'm alive. It's like every day I'm alive, I'm thinking like, wow, this is one more day that I almost didn't have, right? And I'm just like thankful for every day I'm alive and try to make it something special in a way. Well, yeah, and try to just be grateful for it, appreciate it, not wallow in my self-pity like I was doing before. The reason why I got into such bad habits is, I was wallowing in self-pity. Instead of just dealing with the problems I had and making the best of it, I just felt sorry for myself and abused myself, and that's so pathetic. And I'll never do that again. No matter how bad things get, at least I'm alive. And I almost wasn't. So I remember that every day. Oh, the sun is so beautiful. Wow, great. It's bad to make videos where the sun isn't, or take pictures directly. It damages the lenses or something. So yeah, that's my story. So since then, since May, I started marking down like exactly how much I walk every day. So since May 2025, I've walked 4,750 kilometers from not even being able to get out of bed to go to the bathroom, from being totally bedridden. I've walked now 4,750 kilometers in like 10 months, which an average person walks less than 2,000 in a year. So yeah, okay, I'm proud of myself. I don't think it's wrong that I'm proud of myself. I could have done more, but in the winter it got so cold that I would only go out for like 2 hours or something. So yeah, I'm in training to hike the Appalachian Trail and to live my life to the fullest. But to live my life to its fullest, I have to get out here and move back to America. So, okay, yeah, that was a scary experience and a shameful experience on my part. But my biggest regret is having called my son. Otherwise, I could have just hidden this whole thing from him. He would have never known, and we would have a normal relationship like we had been having. But because of that, everything is ruined now. And he basically doesn't want to have anything to do with me, which is really a shame. I mean, it's depressing, but I can't allow myself to get depressed. That's what got me into this whole basic suicide that I was going through, allowing myself to get depressed. So I can't let that happen again. So yeah, the idea of hiking the Appalachian Trail really gives me strength to keep going. Okay, so yeah, I've recovered. I should go in for a checkup, but I just don't want to. I'm supposed to go in for a checkup, and I'm kind of afraid to hear the results because I feel fine. I mean, I feel great. Okay, so that was my story. I think I gotta get home now because I have a lesson soon. Okay, goodbye everyone. До свидания. Auf Wiedersehen.